Hello everyone, it's Jay Dhaliwal with Voxxlife. I hope you're all having a great day, and thank you for joining us today in one of our first webinars talking about Integrative Neurotech. Those of you that might know, Voxxlife has been dedicated to developing new neurotech technologies for the last 8 years, and we've made some amazing discoveries. But before we go too much further, I wanted to talk to you about neurostimulation and give you a little bit of a background on what it is. So what is neurostimulation? To put basically, neurostimulation is a therapeutic activation or modulation of the nervous system. What's great about it? It's completely adjustable and it's completely reversible. And it sidesteps many of the side effects of medication, although traditional neurostimulation does have effects of its own. So, what are the different types of neurostimulation? Well, neurostimulation really has been focused on one major health concern globally, and that's chronic pain. And where has it been focused and dedicated? Well, there's things like deep brain neurostimulation, there's peripheral nervous stimulation, there's spinal cord stimulation, there's transcranial neurostimulation, and obviously there's things like TENS units and other more ubiquitous products that we've probably seen in our practices or in our own homes. That said, neurostimulation has been around for a very long time. Surprisingly, neurostimulation was first recorded actually being used in 46 AD by Egyptian healers who actually relied on the electric torpedo ray to hit people with electric shocks to treat them for migraines and gout and other ailments. I can only imagine some of the sensitive places they had to reach with that electrical fish. But that being said, neurostimulation and neurostimulation advocacy has been going on for a long time. It started in Europe by a brilliant Italian scientist named Galvani who published a book called Animal Electricity, which really set the forefront of how our bodies generated and how our nervous system used electrical impulses to communicate and generate different things. But that really is history. What's happening today is far more advanced and far more exciting. So let's talk about the different neurostimulation devices available today. So modern neurostimulation devices are planted under the skull or skin and are usually battery powered. Although surgery may be required to install the device, neurostimulation is not considered surgical treatment. Transdermal application devices are also available. We've all seen the TENS units. Now, there's a lot of important things to note here. Proper patient selection is crucial to successful treatment. It's not right for everyone. So, neurologists and neurosurgeons have to be very selective and very careful in who they're recommending it to. Also, the settings and neurostimulation devices must be tailored to each patient's need and tolerance. Some of these variables include current, frequency, pulse width, voltage, on-off schedules. These must all be adjusted by a knowledgeable and experienced neurophysiologist, usually a neurosurgeon or a neurologist. This is not a job for rookies, guys. So, what does that mean? That means it's a very precise, very timely, and very expensive procedure. There's also some adverse physiological events of neurostimulation that may or may not involve respiratory rate, flushing, nausea, oculomotor symptoms, and sweating. Although very effective, neurostimulation is really getting to the core of our nervous system and sometimes also introduce some risks as well. So, what are some of the risks that have been noted with traditional neurostimulation? There's behavior and psychological effects including anxiety, depression, fear, hypomania, panic, psychosis, seizures, tics, sometimes even pleasant tastes and smells. Added to that are surgical complications such as infection, pain, hemorrhaging. Cognitive performance has been known to increase and decrease. Sadly, sometimes leads can also get disconnected and batteries need to be replaced. These side effects, although seemingly very significant, are also very rare, but possibilities. The positive side of neurostimulation is that we can access the nervous system to react and help with chronic pain and other nervous conditions. That's why neurostimulation is so popular and growing in popularity. Some of these devices that we've talked about, there's over 70,000 implants already globally of these transcranial and subcutaneous devices that people are relying on to live a more complete, fulfilling life without pain and other neurological conditions. But is that all there is to offer? Are we really at the peak of neurostimulation? At Voxxlife, we've been studying neurostimulation for over 8 years, but we've taken a completely different approach. Whereas traditional neurostimulation required and relied on electrical stimulation or chemical stimulation, or in drastic cases surgery, we've actually looked at the science and looked at the research and discovered there's other ways to affect neurostimulation. And what we're relying on is superficial tactile stimulation of neuroreceptors over our body. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's take a step backwards. There are thousands, tens of thousands, if not millions of neuroreceptors all over our body that take input from stimulation, input from our environment, feed it through our peripheral nervous system, and our central nervous system will then process that information. So what we've done is we've looked at ways of getting that stimulation organized. Can we find a very precise pattern of stimulation? What results are we looking for? And what we focused on really is the bottom of the feet. So there's been some amazing studies done on different types of receptors and different types of neurostimulation that's available by tactile stimulation or other types of stimulation on the bottom of the feet. So one of the amazing studies that we looked at was actually done in 2002 at University of Victoria in BC, Canada. And what this brilliant study did was they actually mapped out all the different types of mechanoreceptors on the bottom of the feet. Very thorough study, very good study. And the conclusion that they made was that these mechanoreceptors play some role in postural stability and balance. Sounds like a very massive step forward in understanding how these receptors play and can play a role in our wellness, postural stability, balance, and other benefits. Sadly, further research wasn't done at that point, but this is one of the starting points for us. There's also some amazing studies done at Harvard that looked at acupuncture and correlated brain activity based on different meridians in acupuncture. Beautiful fMRI imaging that actually shows a direct correlation between meridian points that are activated in acupuncture and very specific brain activity. So when we looked at this, and even further studies done all over the world that looked at dermatomes and brain activity, that looked at acupuncture and brain activities, and other mechanoreceptor studies going back 45, 50 years, you can see that there's other ways to activate and get a nervous response without necessary electricity, without surgery, and without chemicals, that something simple as touch can elicit that. As a side note, we've probably all seen those athletes wearing that K-tape and the different types of tape over their body. Well, if you listen to them and you listen to the people that design that product, they'll say, hey, not only is the tape holding the muscles in place to reduce muscle fatigue, but there's also a proprioceptive improvement they're seeing in these athletes. So we all know proprioception is a nervous response. So these are all things that indicate that, hey, the right touching and the right stimulation of receptors, of neuroreceptors, mechanoreceptors in our body can elicit a very significant at times result. So what we've done for the last 8 years is actually looked at the bottom of the feet. And what we've discovered is that there is an integrative correlation between the different types of receptors that can actually help improve balance, stability, energy levels, and our body's natural pain-fighting mechanisms. And we call this advent Voxx HPT. HPT stands for Human Performance Technology. So we mapped out 45 years of research, and we're looking for this integrative solution. It was really impossible for us to recognize and believe that all of these different receptors that had all of these different functions didn't have an integrative relationship with each other. That couldn't possibly be. So looking for that integrative relationship, that correlation between the different types of receptors was critical. The other thing critical to our understanding was our peripheral nervous system and its correlation to the brainstem. So we might know or might not know, and I'll share with you, our brainstem is really critical for many of the autonomic, somatic, sympathetic, and parasympathetic functions of our body. And what we've also found is that if a brainstem, we can get it to rest, if we can get it to homeostasis, all of these natural functions of the brainstem, such as heart rate variability, respiratory efficiency, postural control, balance control, gait control, muscle contraction, muscle activation, all of these things that we don't want to think about can also improve in their efficacy and their efficiency. And this is what we were looking for. We're looking for a way to get the brainstem into homeostasis. Right? Because if we could do that without electricity and we could do that without drugs and chemicals, we really believe that we could make a global impact on global health. So that's where our journey started in terms of looking at this. So what we've been able to do and deduce is a very precise and very specific pattern of neurostimulation on the bottom of the feet. And we've embedded this pattern into the most ubiquitous, most compliant types of products that we can use. So what are some of these products? Well, I'll show you. Our most popular product actually is our socks. So this is one of our wellness socks. And what you'll notice at the bottom is that you see this orange pattern right here. that actually is knitted into the socks. And that very superficial tactile pattern of touching very specific pattern and combination of receptors is triggering a response in our brainstem, and we're seeing these massive improvements in balance, stability, pain level, management, range of motion. I mean, just unbelievable results, right? And we'll get to what those clinical studies that we've looked at and what the results have been just in a little while. So the reason we chose a sock, guys, is whatever that we worked on had to be easy to use and affordable. That was critical for us, right? We've all been exposed to many, many wellness products and health products that are either too difficult to use or too affordable to buy. And we wanted to stay away from them because really, as we said, the goal was to impact global health in a very significant and meaningful manner, right? But let's step back. What happens when this triggers? What happens when somebody puts on a pair of socks, right? We're going to put a graphic up on the screen that shows exactly what's happening here, okay? But one thing you got to keep in mind, and I'll be very clear with you, is that the exact mechanism of action is unknown. Why is this result happening? We don't know. We have an idea, we have a theory to it, right? The theory is that we're helping the brainstem reach homeostasis through a very precise activation and triggering of these receptors that collectively is allowing the brainstem to reach homeostasis. The big why of it, that exact action and mechanism, sadly we can't say we don't know right now. Research is ongoing. We're working with some of the sharpest minds in neurology and neuroscience to help deduce that. But the clinical studies prove that the effects are real, that they're beyond any possible placebo effect. So let's walk through this diagram in terms of what that exact process and pathway and neural pathway is that's leading to these amazing results. So as you'll see on this screen here, we call it the Voxx HPT Neuropath to Wellness and Performance. It's color-coded and numbered, so it's easy to follow along. So if you take a look at the pattern right at the bottom there, that's a stylization of Voxx HPT, okay? So somebody has a product, they put on the product with the Voxx HPT embedded or knitted into the product, and then what happens? Okay, the first thing that happens is the Voxx HPT triggers a very precise neural response on the receptors on the bottom of the foot. Also, what we've learned is there's other parts of the body that have different combinations of receptors that can actually give us different responses. But that's another conversation for another day. So from this point, the sensory division of the peripheral nervous system brings that information from the receptors to the brainstem and the central nervous system. So it follows right up the somatosensory pathways through the spinal column, and here we are at the brainstem. Now the brainstem is composed of three parts: the midbrain, the pons, medulla, and it's covered by gray matter called reticular formation. Now the brainstem, as you might know, is one of the most critical parts of the brain, and it plays a key role in conduction. That is, all the information relayed from the peripheral nervous system to the cerebellum and cerebrum, and vice versa, must traverse the brainstem. It needs to go through here. The brainstem has integrative functions being involved in cardiovascular system control, respiratory control, pain sensitivity, controls our alertness, our awareness, our consciousness. These areas of the brain, the numerous nuclei that are in the brainstem, assist and control the many functions of the autonomic system, the somatic system, the parasympathetic, so things like balance, spatial orientation, proprioception. All of these things are controlled through the different nuclei in the brainstem. So it's really critical that the information getting here is complete, clear, and that the brainstem is processing it in the most efficient way as possible. We've all heard the saying that relaxed athletes play better. Well, think about this. Getting the brainstem to relax or come to homeostasis is going to allow for that functionality to be enhanced, to be more natural. So once that happens, what's going to happen is the brainstem is going to kick that information right through the peripheral nervous system, right? So the sensory division of the peripheral nervous system is going to bring the information to the brainstem and CNS, to all the receptors in the peripheral tissues and organs. And the motor division of the PNS carries the motor commands from the CNS and brainstem to the peripheral tissues and systems. So the somatic nervous system controls skeletal muscle contractions. The autonomic system is going to regulate smooth muscle, cardiac and glands, and adipose tissues. So what does this mean? This means we're going to see an improvement in vestibular system, in balance, spatial orientation, respiratory control, heart rate regulation, flight or fight, reaction time, even pain regulation. And because this is the nervous system, guys, those responses are immediate. But let's be clear here. We're not adding anything to your nervous system or anybody's nervous system. What we're allowing to do is the nervous system to operate at its optimal level. Think of it as a Control-Alt-Delete, right? So when our computer system gets stuck, and if we have an old PC or whatever and it's not working, we hit Control-Alt-Delete to get that system unjammed. Think of Voxx HPT as the Control-Alt-Delete in the bottom of the foot that's allowing our brainstem to reset to factory settings, allow it to operate at its optimal level. Why is it that combination of neuroreceptor activation is getting that result? We don't know why it's precisely those. We do know through trial and error and many years of experimentation that is the combination that's getting us those results. So once we had the product designed and we had a good grasp in terms of what the reaction was and what results we could get, we needed to test the efficacy of the science and the products. So we engaged in some very, very important and some incredible studies. And I'll share those results with you. One of the studies we did was with a major labor union, and we looked at posture control and stability using FDA-approved software and hardware. And what we found was a 31% improvement in postural stability and balance. Now, if you ask me, what does that mean? Statistically speaking, in those over the age of 56, that results in a reduction of fall risk by 8x. Imagine that, people. An 8x reduction in fall risk for those that are most vulnerable in our society, our seniors, our parents, and our grandparents. So this can have a material and drastic impact on their quality of life, their safety, and the freedom and the joy in their golden years. So we really, really are keen to share that with people. Say, hey, listen, you can use our socks, you can use our insoles, no side effects, easy to use, but you're going to have the benefits of reduced fall risk. So we're super excited about that. Another study we conducted was a 1,000-person intake study on adult diabetes. The intake requirements were simple: adult diabetes for at least 5 years, and we wanted to test people with their painful neuropathy, okay, in their feet. And so the requirement was at least level 4 pain on the universal pain scale. We tested our product, we tested a placebo product to see what difference could be there. And this is what we saw. We saw 90% of the subjects come back and say, hey, listen, my pain is significantly less. Over 70% came back and said, hey, my pain's level 2 or less. Now let me give you an idea of what level 2 pain is. Level 2 pain is pain that's ignorable and doesn't interfere with daily tasks. Level 4 pain is noticeable pain that does interfere with daily tasks. Now, why does that happen? How are we affecting painful neuropathy? And clearly a nervous system or nerves at the bottom of the feet that have been compromised, right? So our theory is this. One of the areas of the brainstem is a periductal gray. Really, it plays a key role in our body's natural pain-fighting mechanisms. If we can, through our technology, allow the brainstem to operate more efficiently and recognize the different things that the brainstem needs to control, including the periductal gray area, if we allow that part of the brain to recognize that, hey, this person's in pain, the body's in pain, we need to use the natural fighting mechanisms for pain that our body has to trigger that result. We believe that's what's happening. The results we're seeing are absolutely phenomenal. So over 90% reported that they had a reduction in painful neuropathy from diabetes. 4% said they had no change, and 2% reported, hey, you know what, I think it's making my pain a little bit worse. But we're super, super satisfied and super excited about what we could do for over 90% of those people. Because as we all know, people who are in pain are focused on one thing, which is pain. And they're not always compliant of the different things that they need to do to improve their wellness and manage their health. So we're super excited about that. Now, let's talk about performance, which everybody's excited about. So we actually work with the California Sports Institute. It's run by one of the foremost sports scientists in North America. Somebody's become a good friend named Chris Mumford. Chris was a big-time skeptic. He said it wasn't even possible that superficial tactile stimulation of the nervous system or the superficial stimulation of receptors could have such a massive result. I said, well, Chris, if you won't test it, you're not really a scientist. Sometimes you have to challenge your friends to take the right approach, right? So I challenged them. I said, listen, you construct your own study. You work with elite athletes right across the world. You tell us what you find. So this is what we found. This is what Chris found, actually. Chris found a 25% improvement in peak power, a 17% improvement in velocity of force, how quick that force was generated. We see a 15 degrees improvement in hip rotation. Now, these are massive, massive improvements in physical performance. This is without drugs. This is without chemicals. This is without electricity. This is immediate. This is taking an elite athlete and crushing their personal best and their plateaus of their performance and setting a new bar of performance for them. He said this is something that's right out of the fantasy books. We said, listen, We've been at this for a long time. 8 years, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources went into getting to here, right? So this is what we've been able to do. But the performance side is fantastic. But what we can do for people's quality of life when we put all of this together, when all of these different benefits can come together, is really where the magic happens, is really what we're excited. Our mission at Voxxlife is to help 1 billion people with their quality of life and wellness. Okay? And so many amazing doctors, amazing practitioners across North America are joining our organization and joining our mission to help people. And I want to share with you now a video of one of our practitioners, one of our great doctors, Dr. Eugene Van Elselen in Ontario. And it's an amazing video for one of his patients. And I'll let them tell the story, and we'll come back and we'll talk about what's next.
Hi, this is Karen Osborne, and you're looking at my husband Kevin Osborne in the red shirt. And we're here today for Kevin to tell you what difference the Voxx socks have made in his life, in the quality of his life. And this over here is Dr. Van Onselen, who introduced us to Voxx socks. He used to be our doctor, and when he came upon the Voxx socks, he knew right away that they would be really good for Kevin. So he introduced us, and Kevin has 4 conditions that affect him neurologically: dyspraxia, vitamin B12 deficiency, a neurodegenerative disease, and mast cell activation disease. They limit his strength, they limit his mobility, they limit his energy hugely, and they put all kinds of limitations on his life. Take it away, guys.
Okay, Kevin. Right, so Kevin has the classic Voxx sole at the moment in his shoes, as well as the wellness socks. So we're going to kind of do a reverse test. We're going to try it with the products on, and then we're going to remove the products and see if there's any difference. Okay? All right, Kevin. So the first test we want to do is a finger to nose test. Just let's do that. Yes, okay. Look at the ease Kevin's doing that. He actually is doing the test 100% normal. Okay, let's quickly do the other hand there. Perfectly normal. That's good. Okay. So I want you to stretch out your hands close together and see if you can hold it still. Just notice there's no movements. Kevin has complete control over this, which is great. Okay. The next test is just to do the hand clapping, and the other hand. Perfect. And that could be considered a normal test.
It's a little harder because I'm right-handed.
You're right, yeah, and that's normal. You know, like the dominant hand would be a little easier. Okay. Okay. The next test to do is to take your heel and slide it up your chin towards the knee. One more time. Perfect. And do the other side as well. Notice there's a complete coordination. There's no muscle coordination and so on, right? Okay, good. Okay, so we're going to remove the products now, and we're going to do the test over again. We can notice here the normal color of Kevin's foot, and there's normal heat there. Usually his foot becomes like a dusky or a dusty gray color or a black color because of circulation issues.
Show the insoles.
Oh, here's the Voxx Classic insole. All right. Okay. Good. You ready, Kevin?
And already my legs feel heavier.
Right. So
because I also have peripheral neuropathy.
That's right. Okay. Right. So let's do the finger nose test again there. Notice how very, very difficult it is for Kevin to do that. Okay, Kevin, and the other hand. Well, it seems like the left side is even worse, right? Okay,
Yeah.
that's enough, Kevin. That's fine. And do this for me there. Keep the hand straight there. Notice how hard it is for Kevin to do that. And you had difficulty with this for many, many years, right?
Yes.
How many years? You mentioned like most of your life, basically, or is it a long time?
I would say most of my life.
Wow, that's amazing.
And when we visited some neurologists, I would have to warn them not to stand on either side of Kevin, because when he did that test, stretching his hands out in front of him, he had such little control over them that he would actually hit them.
Wow. Okay. Now do the heel shin to knee test. Notice the concentration Kevin has to do, and he's not able to do that. And try the other side. That's very hard. Okay, Kevin, that's now. Here's another thing we should mention. Look at the color of the feet. There is already a dark purple, pinkish color happening, and that's just a few minutes off the Voxx socks. Okay, right. So let's quickly put this on, and retry it one more time.
Are his feet sweating? The bottoms of his feet sweating?
It feels sweaty, yes.
Yes.
It's cold and sweaty, and then notice the color change.
And my feet feel cold.
It feels cold too, right? Put this on here. This foot there.
What kind of socks are we using on Kevin?
This is the wellness socks.
Okay.
Kevin also goes to bed with it and sleeps on with it. You feel better in the morning? You feel less...
I feel more refreshed, and I'm able to sleep through the night. Over the last 2 weeks wearing these socks, the wellness socks at night, I've slept through the night and making up for a huge sleep deficit of many years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's
Yes.
going to take time.
Yes. Okay. All right. So there you are. Okay. Just relax. So do you feel more rested in the morning, and do you feel more less sore and?
Yes, there's less pain. I feel more rested, so I'm able to concentrate on very difficult courses in psychology and counseling. As a matter of fact, I had got to the point where I wondered if I would even complete my doctorate in psychology. I'm only 5 courses away, and with this encouragement that you've given me, Eugene, in bringing these socks and insoles to my attention, I know now, without a doubt, I'll be able to complete that doctorate.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's wonderful. Okay, let's do the quick testing again, and that's just a few minutes after putting the socks and insoles back on again. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And look at that. Look at that. This is a normal test. And this side, incredible. And straighten it out there for us. Notice Kevin can keep it nice and steady, and otherwise this was impossible to do.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. And do the hand clapping there. And again, that's normal. And the other side. Okay. And just to mention, Kevin is right-handed, so okay. Right. And the last test to do is just the heel up the shin to the knee. And look at the ease Kevin does that. There's complete control over the muscles. And the same that side too. Fantastic. Yeah, this is awesome. So just in a few words, just tell us, since the 2 weeks that you've been using the products, the HP Human Performance Technology, the benefits that you got.
I noticed that my balance is improved, mobility to the point that I can use a walker for short distances, and I know that as I'm able to use my muscles more, I'll be able to use my walker more. My ability to focus on materials to study and for research has vastly improved. Even my keyboarding has improved.
Wow.
That before it would take me hours to compose a simple email to someone.
Yeah.
And now I get it done like in 15 minutes because I can keyboard with great ease compared to what I was able to do before.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you also love singing. Tell us about that.
Yes, I am a trained tenor, and so I really enjoy singing, but I was getting quite depressed because the weight of all of my medical conditions had got me to the point that I was having more trouble with my breathing exercises, and so I was thinking, well, maybe I'll do the occasional singing, but I probably won't be doing it on an ongoing basis.
Right.
And now I wake up in the morning more refreshed, and I notice that I can breathe better. I notice that when I sing that I have greater strength to my voice, and that I can sing with a greater tonal resonance, is what they call it in music.
Right.
It's when you can actually feel it in your nasal passages. And so I can feel that once again, and singing brings me great joy, and it also brings others great joy, including my wife Karen.
Yeah, that's wonderful, yes. So regarding writing and doing signatures, has that improved as well?
Yes, because before you introduced the socks and the insoles to me, my signature, although I could do it, it would take a number of seconds to do it.
Right.
And in the last 2 weeks when I've been writing signatures, it's with great ease.
Yeah, that's
Pretty
fantastic.
soon he's going to need to sign a new signature card at the bank because his signature has become recognizable now, and it wasn't before.
That's incredible. Yes, yes. Well, I thank you very much, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce this product to you and to see the benefits, the life changing benefits that.
And I want to thank you, Eugene, for bringing it to my attention, because it's brought so much more joy into my life, improving the quality of my life. I'm very clear this isn't fixing me with all of my medical conditions, but it's improving the quality of my life like it's night and day.
Wonderful, yeah.
And improving the quality of our marriage, too. I'm a big fan of these Voxx socks.
Good. Well, thank you, Kevin. Yes.
Thank you, Eugene.
When I saw that video for the first time a number of weeks ago, I was absolutely overjoyed for Kevin. That's the man in the video, Dr. Eugene's friend and patient. I was even more excited about how much more research we need to do, that we've just scratched the surface. So, in that light, we're conducting now studies on heart rate variability. We're looking at conducting a study on chronic pain. We're looking at conducting a study on ADD and ADHD. We've got a brilliant medical advisory board that's leading the charge in this fashion. And I think we've just scratched the surface of this, because with Voxx HPT, really we've made a massive leap in advancement in terms of understanding how sensitive and really how powerful our peripheral nervous system is, and really the key to getting to brainstem activation and brainstem homeostasis. So we now have a technology and products that are electrical free, drug free, non-invasive, side effect free, age safe, pregnancy safe, and completely affordable. These are no-risk options for people not only in chronic pain, people with painful diabetic neuropathy, or seniors that have fall risk issues, or people just looking for that extra edge and quality of life in terms of energy levels or performance. Is it a replacement for our doctors and professional treatment? Absolutely not. Is it a replacement for healthy nutrition and exercise? Absolutely not. A healthy quality lifestyle is the critical cornerstone of wellness. But if we can provide tools and products that our patients and our clients can take home with them that don't involve training, that don't involve high-level compliance, we're going to see a massive improvement in the health and wellness. Because we all know compliance is a big issue. If things are too hard or involve too much change, people won't use them. That's why we've invented socks and developed other products that are easy to use. Well, I want to say thank you to everybody for finding time to watch the webinar today and listen to what we're doing at Voxxlife. If you'd like more information about Voxxlife's Integrative Neurotech, Voxx HPT technology, please email us at practitioners@voxxlife.com, and we'd be more than happy to send you an electronic version of our integrative booklet. It's got all of our research studies in there, all of our data. It's got a very in-depth discussion of the science and the different pathways and the different results of our technology. We'll also send you an electronic version of our practitioners program. So if you do like it and you do see a fit for your practice, you're more than happy to join us, and we'd be happy to get in touch with you to see how we can make the product available to you, your practice, and your clients. Thank you for listening today, and I hope to see you all very soon.